What's going on, guys? Welcome to today's second stimulus check update, stimulus package update, and stimulus news report for Monday, September 21st. Now, the stimulus negotiations are heating up, and it is getting harder and harder to tell what is good news and what is bad news moving forward. However, I do have some good news for you today. Now, yesterday, Nancy Pelosi did an interview, and she alluded to a presidential impeachment if President Trump and Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell move forward and attempt to appoint a new Supreme Court justice prior to the November 3rd election. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, he is more worried about student loan debt than passing a stimulus package. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell is currently locking down GOP votes for the Supreme Court fight, and COVID is looking like it will be here to stay for a long, long time. Again, today is your stimulus check update, stimulus news update, and I want to keep you updated on everything that has been going on. So, currently, most economists are predicting that the most likely stimulus proposal to be passed is the Problem Solvers Caucus proposal, which is a very good bill, a very good proposal, I think would help out many Americans. Now, nobody, or some Democrats included, do not think the $3.4 trillion HEROES Act ever had a chance. And it's silly to look back on that and potentially re-vote on the same bill that nobody believes is going to pass, other than possibly Nancy Pelosi. Nor does anybody believe that a $500 billion skinny bill, which was proposed by Republicans, specifically Mitch McConnell, would make a great stimulus package either. Now, Nancy Pelosi is said to be working on another stimulus package within her own party, but she has said very little on this in the past few days. Many expect her to hold out as long as humanly possible before revealing whatever it is that Democrats are currently working towards. Again, we don't know. All we know is what Nancy Pelosi tells us, what other Democrats are telling us, which is very little. So we don't have a lot to go off of in that regard. So we're still waiting on updates from Nancy Pelosi herself. Now, Nancy Pelosi did have some things to say yesterday that I want you to be well aware of. Nancy Pelosi has done more talking in the past 48 hours, let's say 72 hours, regarding the vacant open chair from the Supreme Court than she has on anything regarding stimulus or the American people. Nancy Pelosi says that if President Trump and Mitch McConnell try to push a Supreme Court justice nominee through the Senate, or push it through the Senate prior to the November 3rd election, then Democrats won't rule out anything moving forward. And I want to read you this quote. When asked if Nancy Pelosi would move to impeach President Trump, Pelosi responded with this exact quote. "We have our options. We have arrows in our quiver that I'm not about to discuss right now. But the fact is we have a big challenge in our country. This president has threatened to not even accept the results of the election." So, she didn't actually answer the question, which normally when Nancy Pelosi does this, it is because the person asking the question is right on with how they are thinking and how Nancy Pelosi could possibly move forward. So, there's a good chance that if President Trump and Mitch McConnell decide to move forward with this, Nancy Pelosi and other Democrats could move for an impeachment again. This will be the second time Nancy Pelosi tried to impeach President Trump. The problem that I have from this interview from Nancy Pelosi is that she did not mention stimulus one time. In this entire interview, she did not mention anything regarding stimulus checks, stimulus to the American people, to the economy, to state and local governments, nothing. So as of right now, it seems like the whole stimulus debacle is on the back burner because as of right now, it seems like it's more important that Nancy Pelosi deals with the vacant seat in the Supreme Court than getting the American people the aid that they truly need. However, here's the good news, and this is very good news. This vacancy is being looked at as a way in for Republicans to negotiate more for stimulus for the American people. As of right now, what many people are predicting is that the $1.5 trillion stimulus package is the only package that has a chance of actually passing and getting through. So we'll see what happens there. However, Nancy Pelosi did say this, which again is more really good news. Nancy Pelosi says she will not leverage a government shutdown in order to prevent Republicans from pushing to fill the Supreme Court vacancy. That's really good news because the last thing we need right now is a government shutdown. However, we will see what happens today and later on this week to see if they actually pass a bill, if something gets agreed upon, or what happens moving forward. But as always, when there's good news, there's bad news. Nancy Pelosi, she said that she will not leverage a government shutdown. However, she did not say anything about not leveraging the stimulus negotiations, as many expect and predict that this is what Democrats are considering at this point. Currently, many people are predicting that Nancy Pelosi will hold up stimulus negotiations because they are good for the Trump administration and the Trump campaign, but she will hold these up, even risk the lives of millions of Americans, simply to get the Republicans to not push through a new Supreme Court justice, or at least a new nominee. Now, I do have some even more good news for you. There's a lot of news out there. Some is good, some is bad. This is good. With a few new proposals coming out of the House lately, it's looking like more members of the House are open to standalone bills. If this is the case, then there is a good chance we could see some standalone stimulus bills pushed through and hopefully passed. Again, it only takes a little bit of work. We already have the proposals out there. Just take a section of that proposal and let's pass that part, that piece of legislation. Stimulus checks would be nice. Unemployment enhancement would be nice. Rental assistance would be incredible. Food assistance, PPP funding, all of these things would provide American people with some relief. We just need something. That's all we need at this point. $1,200 is nothing over the past 5 months. However, it's something to get us through the next couple of months while people are still waiting to get back to work. And if this happens, if we decide to, okay, let's push some standalone bills through, we could see stimulus sooner than originally expected. Also, some experts predict the Trump administration to pull the rug out from underneath Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats, meaning they would go ahead and pass or agree to and publicly agree to this, publicly agree to a $600 per week unemployment extension. And here's the reason why this would be really good. If the Trump administration publicly does this, this would now mean Nancy Pelosi either has to agree to $600 per week, which is exactly what she's asking for, but this $600 per week would only be a fraction of the time. It wouldn't be till the end of this year, which is coming up very quickly. It would probably only be for, let's say, 5 weeks or a handful of weeks. But many people, many experts are predicting this is a good move because this would tell whether Nancy Pelosi is serious. Because if she were to agree on a standalone bill for a $600 per week unemployment enhancement, she would either have to agree on it, which would be great because that's exactly what she wanted, or she would have to pretty much deny it, decline it, block it, refuse this stimulus to millions of Americans. And she would have to answer to them as to why getting this money is not better than getting nothing at all. This is the problem. Now let's talk about federal student debt and actually it being forgiven. On Friday, Chuck Schumer and Elizabeth Warren announced a new proposal to forgive up to $50,000 in federal student loan debt and said all it would take is a president to do an executive order to pass this bill. Now, this sounds really good, and I'm all for students and education and hopefully not paying as much money as a lot of people do. However, to me, because this sounds really good, here's the problem. That this would require, and this would allow 43 million adult Americans to save money. They wouldn't have to pay their student loans. Also, this would take away $1.5 trillion in debt immediately. It would forgive that debt. Here's the problem. This sounds like another far-fetched plan to try to win votes for this upcoming election. Here's the reason why I say this. Chuck Schumer specifically came out and said that President Trump would not sign this, but Joe Biden would. However, Joe Biden was previously against a proposal just like this. So what does that mean, and what does that tell us? Well, this proposal, this executive order, is almost identical to the payroll tax deferral that President Trump signed as an executive order over a month ago. But President Trump, and any president, does not have the power to forgive money. Only Congress does. So, two people within Congress, Senator Chuck Schumer and Senator Elizabeth Warren, both should know this. How can a sitting president forgive debt, forgive any type of money, when this is just pointed out less than a month ago? President Trump could not forgive payroll taxes. He can only defer it, which is what he did with federal student loans. If he could forgive a certain amount of loans, don't you think he would have done that already? So, this is just, in my opinion and a few others, this is just another stunt within 43 days of election to try to win votes. Here's what is being reported as not just another stunt. President Trump, and this is really good news, President Trump is getting ever so close to providing another round of executive orders. With all the talks starting up again and stopping over and over, with all the stalemates, with all the he said, she said, back and forth, President Trump doesn't want to wait and hurt the American people. He wants Congress to get back to work. He's tired of Congress, his lack of leadership and cohesion. He wants something done now. Because of this, it is being reported that President Trump, and the odds of him doing another round of executive orders, went up from 50% to now over 75%. It's more likely now than it was last week. Some economists are predicting that a new stimulus package only has a 50-50 chance of passing, and that if we don't receive another round of stimulus throughout the entire economy, then we will see slow growth in the United States that will take about 4 years to recover from. So that's something that economists are saying. We don't know if Congress is even listening to this at this point, because as of right now, they're doing very little to get the American people the relief that they need. Now, I talk about Nancy Pelosi, I talk about Chuck Schumer, I talk about Steve Mnuchin, Mark Meadows every once in a while, even President Trump. One person I do not talk about enough, which I talk about a little bit here, is Mitch McConnell. In the past week or so, I received multiple emails and messages on Facebook regarding, why doesn't Mitch McConnell negotiate directly with Nancy Pelosi? And currently, where is he? What's he doing? We don't hear a lot from him. Well, right now, Mitch McConnell is working on securing GOP votes if President Trump and himself decide to appoint a new Supreme Court justice prior to the election. They need the Senate needs at least 51 votes. There are 53 senators. Some senators have said, and I believe it's 1 or 2 senators have said, they will not vote on a Supreme Court nominee before the November 3rd election. So, if 2 senators do that, and it turns out there's 51 votes, if they lose any more Senate votes from Republicans, then it would be a tie and it would go to Vice President Pence to break the tie. However, if they lose and Democrats are to go and block it and say, no, we don't agree on that nominee, then they'd be back to square one, which would look really bad for Senate Republicans. Now, this is a very touchy subject at this time, but what I can tell you is what happens over the next week or so is going to play a major role in any stimulus negotiations moving forward. And this could provide some insight onto some fights that might happen among Congress here in 2021. Now, I want to address some COVID-19 news. According to a report late last night, it says that 31 states now have an increase of COVID-19 cases by at least 10% or more. That's not good. When over half of our state, half of our country, has an increase of over 10% or more, that's not good. This is most likely due to, and this is based on the CDC website, this is most likely due to the recent Labor Day gatherings. 4 states have seen decreased numbers. These states include Delaware, Hawaii, Louisiana, and Michigan. 15 states are holding steady and strong. That includes Alaska, Arkansas, California, Georgia, Illinois, Maine, Maryland, Nevada, North Carolina, Ohio, Oregon, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, Virginia, and Washington State. So that's really good. The United States is also, and this is sad news, is also expected to surpass 200,000 COVID deaths sometime today or late last night. The CDC warns Americans that as weather gets colder, we go into the later fall and winter months, people tend to gather indoors more often, and this will ultimately increase the chances of being infected. The CDC also states that the 6-foot rule should not apply in situations where talking, heavy breathing, and singing are involved. Those 3 things. So if you do not have to talk, you do not have to breathe heavily, for example, working out, and you do not have to sing, for example, a choir or a concert, then these 3 things, you should be farther than 6 feet apart, because the spread of COVID-19 is happening through the air, through little particles. So that is what we know right now. That is your second stimulus check update and stimulus package update for Monday, September 21st. If you have any questions regarding stimulus, please ask your questions down in the comment section below. Like I said earlier, there's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of heated debates. There's a lot of negotiations happening. But what I can tell you moving forward is hopefully we have an answer. If we do have an answer, I hear some good news, I promise you I will bring you that information. I will give you another stimulus check update to make sure that you are as updated as I am. So thank you guys for watching today's video. Do me a favor, if you learned something and you were obviously entertained, go ahead, smash that thumbs up button, subscribe if you haven't done so already, and I'll see you guys on the next one.